one. But it wasn't easy being Joey at Memphis. He climbed out in victory lane, but take a look at this. Joey Clinton barely escaping that one. Gets a little bit of a tag from Travis Kittleson and some damage to the Campfire USA team. That car, a flat tire on pit road. The boys went to work and Joey rocketed through the field, passing Kevin Sawinski en route to his 9th win of the year. A kiss from Brandy, his wife, in victory lane. Can he win 10 today? Who knows? This is a tough racetrack, but what makes it pretty tough? Well, Buddy Baker, let's ask him.
In 1964, they paved this racetrack. Since then, not a lot of work done to it. The racetrack itself extremely slick. There's a few patches here that are uneven also. Joey Clanton coming in here trying to tie a 10-race record that was set by Johnny Sauter last year. He couldn't have picked a racetrack that's going to be any tougher to get around. It's slick and fast.
Slick and fast, and that's what's going to make today an awesome race. Let's take a look at the starting grid for the Miller Lite 300. The top 20 on this grid determined by points. Number 1, Joey Clanton.
Joey Clanton crossed under the checkers first at Memphis last race for his 9th win this season. He's after that record of 10 set last year by Johnny Sauter. Now, Johnny is in the field today. How important would it be to nail down that 10th victory here in Minnesota?
Well, I mean, we come out here to win every race, and I mean, this race right here is the most prestigious race we run all year long. To win the state fair race would mean everything, and you know, to bring another one home for Bond at his hometown. And that's our goal, is to win this race.
Joey refers to Bond, of course, he means crew chief Bond Suss. How about Danny Fredrickson, 5th, the hometown hero, trying to make good?
One of Dan Fredrickson's goals at the beginning of the season, in addition to winning races, was to win Rookie of the Year. That dream seemed to be slipping away, but last weekend David Strimmy had problems. Fredrickson's been running well again, and Dan, it looks like you might have a shot at it once again.
There's no doubt that consistency has kept us in the hunt. We're looking for the Red Baron ride to give us another good one today.
Kyle Busch 9th in points, 9th on the grid. The Rocket Man, Rick Beebe 10th, Ross Tuttle 11th, and Jason Boyd with a couple of good runs. He's 12th. Butch Miller way back there in row number 8. J.C. Beatty Jr. and Greg Williams in the 10th row. Big John Silverthorne in row number 9. Dick Trickle, the White Knight, to a king here at the Minnesota State Fair. He returns to ASA Racing. Steve Carlson way back in the 13th row. He's come from the back once before this year.
Wisconsin native Steve Carlson comes into this race with one thing in mind, that's to win the race and ring the victory bell. Now, Steve, you've been able to prove to us this year you're able to win from the rear in ASA. How will you do it today?
Keeping the car fast on long green runs. Keeping the car tight, not getting loose off the turns, that's the key.
Carlson won in Madison, Wisconsin, maybe again here today. Here's the rest of the field. Paul Payne, Mark Cole, Troy Wangren, and that man, last year's champ, Johnny Sauter. Welcome back, Johnny.
Last year in Minneapolis, Johnny Sauter got unceremoniously punted while he was running at the front. He comes back for some fun this year, and Tech has not been good to you.
I don't know, all those guys in those red uniforms over there making it pretty tough on us, but we're just a little late getting in line today for qualifying. We obviously have a real good race car, and I'll just let my driver do the talking and see what happens.
Oh boy, Johnny planning to do plenty of talking. He'll march through the field today at the Minnesota State Fair. The Miller Lite 300 coming up next. Don't go away. Coverage of the 2002 ASA Racing Series Championship is being brought to you by BF Goodrich Tires. Take control. Welcome to the fair, folks, the Minnesota State Fair. A lot of us have been checking out the sights and sounds, the rides, the people, and of course a little bit of food here too. Wow, take a look at that, a wild ride. But today, the kids and everybody else here, the focus now turns to the Frenzied Fair part of this, the ASA Racing Series. But the track, very tough. The BF Goodrich Tires point of view is now here at Minnesota. One of the annual rites of passage here at the State Fair race is ringing the victory bell. They keep that trophy under lock and key until the end of the race. But who's going to do it this year? Well, how about these two guys? Dan Fredrickson from nearby Elko, Minnesota, and the guy that did it last year from Minnesota, Kevin Sawinski. So who's it going to be this year, boys? Oh boy, I'm getting out of the way. Who was it? Uh-oh, little argument, Buddy Baker.
the past couple of weeks, David Strimmy has been on a tornado ride. He's hoping to turn that all around. He's less than 200 points out of the national championship. He's hoping this is as rough as it gets all weekend. Jim Trado.
Another driver with his eye on the prize is Columbus, Ohio's Robbie Pyle in search of his first victory this season. Well, he's going to try to do it here at Minnesota. His car's been handling better. He told me it's because the car's better. He's getting more aggressive behind the wheel. Today, it might bring out the bear in Robbie Pyle. This could be a good omen. Bob Dillner.
Is this a good or a bad omen for Todd Cleaver? I don't know, because that's Todd way up there on one of the wildest rides at the Minnesota State Fair. There he goes. Let's hope that's the wildest ride he takes here today. That's today's BFG POV. Brian Till, we haven't heard from you yet. What do you got for us on pit road?
Well, you know, Butch Miller starts in 16th, and it's certainly not because he's slow. Remember, they're starting on points. He certainly knows how to get around this racetrack. Buddy Baker alluded to the fact that it's very slick. It could be one of those deals of age and experience before youthful exuberance. He won here in 1990 from starting 25th.
How about that? Youthful exuberance, a big word from Brian Till. What do you think about Butch Miller's chances here today, buddy?
Very good. He loves the racetrack. It's finesse. You can't just jump in the throttle. If you do, you spin the rear wheels.
Of course, I'm Bob Dillner. Thank you, everybody, for joining us in Minnesota at the State Fair. Buddy Baker alongside of me, Jim Trado, and you just heard from Brian Till on pit road today. Joey Clanton is on the pole because of points. They line the first 20 up in points on the grid here today, and that's how they determine the starting grid.
Yeah, and that's a great front row there. Gary St. Amant in the 7 car. On the outside, winless this year. Nothing he'd like better than to bring home a victory today.
Joey Clanton trying today to tie Johnny Sauter's single-season win mark. Jim Trado?
One advantage that Joey Clanton has is these pit stalls were also chosen based upon points, not just the starting lineup. He has chosen the first pit stall. Only 13 pit stalls are in front of what is the performance stage here at the fair for the entire run. Today they moved the stage back to make a very interesting pit road, but Clanton has choice of pit, and they expect to pit 3 or 4 times today, so that could play another huge factor in making it a 10th win here this season for Joey Clanton.
A very interesting pit road, buddy, but also an interesting racetrack. We had time to go around this track, and you pointed out the line to me. You're not going straight too long here.
Those stones were put in there in 1964. They're polished gems. They're not, no part of the racetrack is a lot of grip. You have to be very careful how you manage the corners here. If you don't, you'll end up in the outside wall.
Well, we'll see how these guys manage it, because we're just about ready to go green. Tom Powell, ready to go green. Hold on to your lug nuts, folks. It's time to go ASA Racing.
Didn't take Gary. Look at Gary St. Amant. He just dropped back into second there. Said Joey Clanton's going to lead this first lap anyhow from the inside. Preferred line right on the white line through the corner there, shaving that pit wall there, coming out. This is down the front straightaway, going into turn 1.
There's not much of a front straightaway or back straightaway here, though, because you're turning a lot here, aren't you?
It's just about all the way around. You're in a constant turn, very little straightaways, you just mentioned.
Joey Clanton in the Campfire USA 83, your leader, but there the battle between the Sitco 63 of Robbie Pyle and Danny Fredrickson in the Red Baron Pizza number 21, and that is the battle for 5th, cooking already.
Yeah, and right now you can see that outside groove is working right there. Robbie Pyle able to stay side by side with Dan Fredrickson all the way around the racetrack, so we do have 2 grooves around the track.
You know, I was watching Robbie Pyle in practice this morning. He ran that line a lot. Could that be a key to getting up front today?
Tire management, very important. If you lean on the tires too hard, you lose them, so that's not a bad thing to do. But right at the moment, you see the preferred line, he's going to lose that spot and possibly another spot.
It pays off for Danny Fredrickson on the low line. Let's take a look at where Johnny Sauter is, buddy. Can you see him? I'm still looking. He's way back there. Johnny Sauter in the Gander Mountain number 9, trying to work his way through the field, and he is now still way back there in the 30th spot. Brian Till.
Well, Richie Waters said they're going to make 3 or 4 stops today, and don't forget, they didn't get much track time. They lost 45 minutes of practice. They're going to make 3 or 4 stops. He said it depends on how hard he charges. If he charges hard in the beginning, he's going to burn the tires off the things. He could be just playing a little bit of a waiting game right now, guys.
But we've talked about the tires a lot, and that is true. This track eats up tires because this surface is like a cheese grater.
Well, they really don't have much of a choice right at the moment. Two cars running side by side, and Payne there in the 94. We've watched him over the year. He's a very competitive race car, and you don't just pull out and go by these guys. They're basically all good race cars in ASA.
Johnny Sauter in the Luther Automobile Dealership's number 9 just worked his way by Rich Gardner in the 48. Now sets his sights on Paul Payne, his buddy mentioned, and also the 60 of Ed Brown. Johnny Sauter dominated this series last year with 10 wins. Joey Clanton trying to tie that here today, and Johnny doesn't want to let him get it. Johnny wants to win this, but here's the battle for 4th. You see David Stremme in the Meyer machine already coming up through the field in that number 11.
Very, very strong rookie in the number 11. He's already won it at Salem this year. The 11 car always a threat.
David Stremme, buddy mentioned he won his first race ever here in ASA, but you know what? He really wants number 2 pretty bad after a couple of tough weeks as well.
Yeah, he's had, well, we said in the open there, he's been on a twister, but he did have 4 second places in a row, so very good race car driver.
And you can see he's just in front of the Sitco 63 for Robbie Pyle. Mike Garvey just behind that in the Tecumseh number 17. But Joey Clanton, a man on the mission here today, trying to go for his 10th win here at the Minnesota State Fair. 9 laps already in the books, but we still got plenty of racing to go. In fact, many a pit stops going to be happening here today. Those BF Goodrich tires, very, very important. David Stremme 5th, and take a look at Kyle Busch in the 9th spot. Rick Beebe 10th. We'll be back in a moment. Plenty to do here at the Minnesota State Fair, and we have taken advantage of it. That's Kevin Sawinski in the red shirt. Take a look at me, buddy. I'm trying to bounce those Gophers, and I figured let's knock Kevin out of the way.
But you're hitting Kevin, though. You know?
Danny Fredrickson won the Gopher contest here. The first caution of the day. Rich Gardner, you see him going by Joey Clanton, the number 48. And a little bit of trouble out here on this half-mile speedway. The par 4 plastics number 48. And you know what? We're going to show you why we're under caution and why Rich Gardner is going around the racetrack very slow right now. Let's take a look, buddy.
Well, that's why he went by the leader to make up the lap that he lost as he spun there. You can see the leaders right there going by.
Tough break for Rich Gardner, the former minor league baseball player, trying his hand at ASA competition here. Joey Clanton, though, trying his hand at winning his 10th race of the year. Johnny Sauter, we mentioned he's way back in the field. He's already moved up 8 spots. But Kevin Sawinski, well, that team is based from right here in Lakeville, Minnesota, just about 15 minutes down the road from the capital of Minneapolis.
Yeah, and he brought the same car he won last year with back here.
Brian Till.
Well, I talked to Mike Chaffee a minute ago. I said, are you guys just cruising 3rd, 4th, 5th? And he said, yeah, that's all we want to do right now is cruise. You know what? I don't want to play cards with this guy. Right after I said that, he goes to 2nd. And if that yellow hadn't come out, he was about to pass Joey Clanton. I think he may not have been telling me the truth, guys.
Well, buddy, do you ever tell Brian the truth?
No, I keep quiet.
Kevin Sawinski in that number 1. Buddy mentioned that's the car he won with here last year. He calls it He Hate Me because he doesn't necessarily like that race car. The number 7, Gary St. Amant in the AC-Delco machine. Buddy Baker's going to try to have a word with him.
Gary St. Amant, this is Buddy Baker. Can you read me?
Tight, I mean, it's tight center, but then it actually ended up making the car loose off.
Well, you could hear he's talking to his crew right there, and he says his car is a little tight in the center, and I'll see if I can talk to him again. Gary St. Amant, this is Buddy Baker. Can you read me?
Go ahead, buddy.
You're dropping back there from the second starting spot. Was the car okay, or just saving tires, or what are you doing?
Well, car's just a little bit tight right now, but, this racetrack changes as the day goes on. Rubber gets put down on the track, and actually the track will tighten up. We're already a little bit tight, so we're going to have to free the AC-Delco Chevrolet up first pit stop go around, but we're not going to get, in a hurry and do anything drastic. We're just going to change the car a little bit at a time. Hopefully we'll be good at the end.
Okay, we'll talk to you later.
Thank you, buddy.
Jim Trader, what do you got?
Well,
David Stremme may be a rookie here at the Minnesota State Fair. However, his crew chief, Howie Leto, has been coming here with the late Pat Shower starting in 1981. That experience, guys, maybe not behind the wheel, may play a huge factor in Stremme's fight to cling to what is a championship hope and gain valuable points in the Rookie of the Year standings. Howie Leto's positioned on top of the stage area, well away from his pit to get a better view of things. He likes to do that about 4 or 5 times a year, but his crew is poised and ready to gain positions on pit road, and again, that experience may pay off for rookie driver David Stremme. Bob?
David Stremme, 197 points behind Joey Clanton. Let's try to talk to him, buddy.
David Stremme, this is Buddy Baker. Can you hear me? They're fixing to come to the green flag. We'll talk to you after you get going again.
David Stremme in that Meyer number 11, just behind Gary St. Amant in the AC-Delco number 7. Here we go, green flag racing once again, and again, Joey Clanton off to a pretty good start, but Kevin Sominski is right there. Lap number 23 already in the books, 24 now in the books. Robbie Pyle and Mike Garvey ready to duke it out.
Mike Garvey said before the race today he loved this race car. It's doing everything he wants it to do, and you can see, whoa, trouble down the back straightaway.
Russ Tuttle in the 16, Greg Williams in the 10, and Greg Stewart in the 33. Mark Cole, that yellow car, was also going through the infield there. He is the number 4 car, so a big melee on the backstretch for the second caution of the day. See a little damage to the front end of that car, and big time damage for Russ Tuttle.
Russ Tuttle, the 16 car there, a lot of damage, as you just said. Early in the race to be having this kind of contact.
It is. This is a tough racetrack. Cars can get pretty loose coming off the corner. Russ Tuttle involved. Greg Stewart also involved in that body balance number 33, but it's a little bit of damage to that Conseco car.
The nice part is all behind the rear wheels. I think you'll be okay.
Let's check it out. Tough to tell what happened there, isn't it?
Well, there was contact coming off turn 2 there, and then you see Williams there in the 10. He avoids everybody by spinning the car.
Oh, Jason Boyd involved. Wow, did you see Greg Stewart's car, the number 33, just get lifted up in the rear end? Woo, that was a pretty big shot. Greg Williams out of Hopstadt, Indiana, the former dirt late model competitor, also involved. One of the independent runners here in ASA. And there's the work, fast and furious at the fair down on pit road, Brian Till.
Well, Tuttle came in, obvious damage to the right rear of the car. They worked on it a little bit. It looked like they were going to put a can of gas in. The fuel man turned away. Tuttle left. I can't tell if he needed that or they were just going to take the opportunity to splash it off a little bit. But Tuttle, obviously some significant damage to the back end of that car.
Significant damage, but how much is that going to hurt him, buddy?
Well, it shouldn't hurt that much because, like I said, it was behind the rear wheel, so it didn't mess up the spoiler area.
You can see Greg Stewart has also been on pit road in that Hanchett manufacturing car, and the Janny King of 86 of Jason Boyd also involved. Greg Williams, boy, trouble early here at the fair. We'll be back in a moment. Back here at the Minnesota State Fair, the traditional prestigious race at the fair, the Miller Lite 300. Oh, trouble for Dick Trickle already.
Yeah, it does not look like he's going to finish like he did on this day 31 years ago. Dick Trickle, Jim Sauter, and Dave Marcus had a battle here, and guess who won? Dick Trickle. But today you can see he has trouble.
Dick Trickle, trouble for him, the 2-time ASA champion, and he was really looking forward to coming back to ASA in this race.
Well, Dick Trickle will always be known as the White Knight of ASA Racing, and the familiar 99 will always be associated with him. But when you only run a couple of races a year, you get a number assigned, and the number assigned this weekend is a number fit for a king, the number 43. So you won't see Dick Trickle's name on top of the car. They've changed it to Richard Trickle. And Dick, you've run this race 21 out of the 26 times. Why is it so important to run here?
Well, you know, just competitors, fan-wise, a lot of familiar faces. And from this area, it's just a lot of fun. I look forward to coming here every year. You know, and drove for Super America as a White Knight, and I'm, you know, King Richard, I guess. So it's just fun.
Well, with the experience this man has, from a knight to a king, could be checkmate for the other competitors.
Not today for Dick Trickle, the 4-time winner of this event. In fact, Buddy mentioned 31 years ago he won that race. That's a pretty incredible stat. Where'd you get that?
And the downforce on that car is pretty well wiped out. The front end of the car is pretty well down, and you can see it was rubbing the racetrack. It's going to be a long day for him if he continues on.
How about this? The LaFavor Racing teammates. The Coca-Cola #1 of Kevin Sawinski and the Red Baron Pizza #21 of Danny Fredrickson, 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, and Danny has pretty much the same setup under his car as does Kevin Sawinski, last year's winner, and you can see it paying off for this teamwork.
You know, Fredrickson's got his whole family here with him today. His wife's here, his kids are here, his relatives, you name it. In fact, his kid Lauren won the best looking kid in Minnesota contest just recently.
Certainly something I never won.
And that from Danny Fredrickson, big old Danny, who looks like a Viking. But Fredrickson having a very, very good run, although he pushes high coming off the corner.
Yeah, the car walked out in the center part of the corner there, a little pushing condition, and you can see Gary St. Amant, the 7th car, all over the back quarter panel of that car going in the corner.
St. Amant in the AC-Delco #7, just behind that #21. And he mentioned that his car is a little tight. You can see it in the corners, can't you?
Yeah, and when we say tight, that means when you turn it left, the front end is not getting the grip that the back end of the car is getting. It makes it walk out towards the outside wall.
Gary St. Amant spoke to him just the other day. I said, what do you think about this points chase? He says, well, I'm certainly in it. Only 67 markers behind, so I wouldn't count Gary St. Amant out, but that guy you can count out today, the Johnny King 86 for Jason Boyd. 2nd straight week for trouble.
He's had some bad runs, but he's always been competitive, but he gets wrapped up in some wrecks.
He's had a tough year. That entire team, I should say, has had a tough year. Take a look at this. Wayne Anderson in the 86 at that point. Wayne still in the car there at La Crosse. He gets in trouble with Landry Potter. Wow. And then around goes Jason Boyd in his first race at Jennerstown Speedway. But Jason has run pretty well. In fact, he almost had a top 5 finish there at Toledo until he spun trying to go by the leader.
Yeah, he was going for the lead there, but this was for 4th place. And coming off the last corner, David Strimmy got into him, turned him around.
1 week ago, Jason said, lost his brakes and hit David Strimmy. Trouble for him again. Brian Till.
Well, obviously contact in the right rear of the car. It moved the whole rear end over on that machine, the 86 Janet King machine. And what they had to replace, guys, is something you don't want to replace on a pit stop, the drive shaft. It moved the rear end so far over, it broke the drive shaft. They're having to put a new drive shaft in this car. It is a long, long time before he's going to be back on this racetrack.
Oh, buddy, he can kiss his chances away because he's many laps down already.
Many laps down, and you can see right now a battle for the lead here as you watch Joey Clanton beginning to walk out just a little bit on the back part. His car is sliding around. Kevin Sawinski sticking a lot better lower on the racetrack.
Here he comes in the Cabela's #1. Kevin Sawinski on the inside. He wants the lead from Joey Clanton. He needs those valuable bonus points for leading a lap, and he does. He leads his first lap here during the Miller Lite 300.
And now you can see Clanton starting to drift back and runs back into the back almost as they start off the corner there, but Clanton loses grip as they start off the corner. Here comes Danny Fredrickson now to work on Clanton.
Fredrickson on the back bumper, that Campfire USA 83. It looks like Clanton's slipping up coming out of the corners.
Yeah, when you start losing the back or forward traction on this racetrack, you're in big trouble.
Check out how low Danny Fredrickson's front end is on that Red Baron car. Take a look at that.
Well, you don't want the air to get up under it. If you do, it makes the car push across the racetrack, and they have these cars nailed right to the pavement.
Kevin Sawinski in first in that Cabela's #1. Joey Clanton 2nd in the 83, and Dan Fredrickson in the 21 is 3rd. Let's check out what happened 1 week ago. Kevin Sawinski in the Great Clips #1 to the outside. He led for so long, but Joey Clanton just muscled by with just a couple laps to go. Now take a look. Here's what happened today. Joey Clanton slides up off the corner, and he says, go by, Kevin. Take a look at that.
Well, what is happening, he sees that right now Kevin Sawinski has a better car. He's running first in the points, that 83 car Clanton is. Now he's acting like a guy that wants to win the championship. Too much pressure from Sawinski. He just backed off, cooled his tires, and he's back up to speed now.
You know, I asked Joey this week, I said, you know, do you think as the season has progressed, you become a better driver? I mean, take a look at that move right there. That showed some patience. What do you think?
No question about that. Right, Till?
Well, I just spoke with Mike Chaffee again. I said, now that he's in front, how hard does he run to stay there? And he said, really, Brian, I think he's just cruising. When he was behind Joey, he wasn't running real fast laps, so we just went on by, but he's running a good, steady pace. He's not burning the car down. We're comfortable with where we are.
Kevin Sawinski, of course, the defending race winner of this one, and last year's race was pretty darn interesting, and I can guarantee you this one is going to be too. 45 laps already in the books. Take a look at Mike Chaffee's daughter on top of the pit box saying, hey, Dad, you're doing a good job because my man, my driver, Kevin Sawinski, is in the lead. We'll see you when we come back. Buckle up, folks, because here's what's happened in the first 50 laps of the Miller Lite 300. The early race dominator, Joey Clanton, in that Campfire USA 83. But Johnny Sauter trying to work his way through the field from the 33rd spot. He's in 20th. Here comes Kevin Sawinski on the inside, and the Cabela's number 1. He is the man on the move, or was in the first 50 laps. Goes by the AC-Delco number 7 for Gary St. Amant. Then whoops, Rich Gardner goes around in the 48 right in front of Tim Olson and Mark Cole. And then the backstretch boys get into it. Jason Boyd, Russ Tuttle, Greg Stewart, Greg Williams, all involved in a big one on the backstretch for the first, actually second caution of the day. And then there is Kevin Sawinski in that Coca-Cola 1. Joey Clanton waves him by, and Sawinski has been the leader ever since. Under caution because of that guy right there, the number 8 for Big John Silverthorne, went around on the racetrack to bring out the third caution of the day.
And everybody needs to work on their car somewhat, as you see our leader coming in the pits.
Brian Till?
Well, Sawinski puts it right on the marks. They're going to change right side tires, and they're going with a can of fuel, also making a track bar adjustment. Having a little problem getting the wrench in for the track bar adjustment. It's going to take a little time. Gets it down. Almost lost the wrench. Jim Trado.
On this end of pit road, all the lead cars are coming in. The point leaders again in the first couple of stalls. Sawinski's already away. It's a standard right side tire change for St. Amant. A little trouble on the right rear for Joey Clanton. He's losing 1, 2, 3, 4 positions now as the tire rolls out on pit road.
That's trouble. David Stremme trying to avoid that tire. He does. Big time problems for Joey Clanton on pit road and that Campfire USA team, as Jim Trado mentioned. Trouble on the right rear. You can see Chad Orr and the guys, Bon Suss, the crew chief, talking about that one, buddy.
Whoa. The only person that's happy right now is Gary St. Amant. What a tremendous stop they just had in the 7 car.
Jay Plants and the guys on that AC-Delco team turned in a great pit stop, but the reason why Johnny Sauter in that number 9, the Luther Automobile Dealership's car coming down pit road, is because he's a lap down. The lap cars pit the lap after the lead lap guys. Brian Till?
Sauter's in. He hits his marks. He's used to doing this. It looks like they're going to change right side tires and take on a can of fuel. I don't see any other changes. Probably air pressure in the new tires that they're putting on. They're not doing anything with the track bar. Sauter rolls before the jack is out. They've got a bit of a problem on the right side. They're going to have to jack the car back up. They did not get the right rear on. More disappointment for these guys. He's down, he's away, but that was a long, long stop.
And that's pretty surprising because Matt Kruder, Psycho, and the guys from Johnny's Bush team are crewing that car today.
Yeah, but if you're going to have that trouble, he was at the back of the pack anyhow, so he's not losing that much track position.
And look who he comes right behind. Dick Trickle right there, so those two guys will try to be marching their way through the field, but both of those cars laps down.
Yeah, and that car only runs 1 race a year right here with Dick Trickle, and you can see front end pretty well damaged.
Gary St. Amant, trouble for the AC-Delco team. A good pit stop, but he's going to have a stop-and-go penalty, we are told. And let's take a look at why, buddy. Oh, big-time troubles for that team. That was Gary St. Amant's tire that came out on pit road, and that is not allowed.
Yeah, and I do not want to talk to Gary St. Amant right now. Even though we do have communication with him, I'm not going to say anything to him.
Yeah, you know, Gary St. Amant is not too happy. Percy, Dean Akins, Roy Marvin, and the guys, I'm sure they are very frustrated too. Gary has yet to come down pit road. You can see Jason Boyd just in front of him in the Janny King number 86. Jason is laps down, involved in that big wreck on the backstretch. Good break for Kevin Sawinski, though. He'll be the leader again.
Here comes Gary right now. It's he can't be happy. He knows he has to.
Does anybody's radio work up front?
Uh-oh.
Somebody look at the wear and let me know how the wear is.
That was Bill McGowan, Gary's crew chief, radioing into his crew.
You know, Gary St. Amant does not know this yet. Whatever the report is, he's scrubbing his tires for a restart here. He does not look like a man that's going to come down pit road.
Definitely does not. And the lights look like they're out on the pace car. Jim Trado, what's going on?
Well, we thought for sure because the wheel rolled out of Gary's pit area that he would be penalized. However, ASA officials have said there's no word on St. Amant having to come down pit road, so Gary will maintain position on the racetrack.
Well, there you have it.
Well, I thought, yeah, when you see them going back and forth there, they're cleaning the racing surface of the tires, so no problem there. Gary St. Amant now smiling.
Smiling just as much as we are right now as Tom Powell waves the green flag to get this race underway once again with 95 laps completed. Gary St. Amant, your leader, Kevin Sawinski second, and his teammate Dan Fredrickson third.
And that black car you see in front of Gary St. Amant is Jason Boyd. He had problems earlier in the race. He is not your race leader.
Jason Boyd, many laps down. Out in front, John Silverthorne. The reason why that caution was brought out, he is going more laps down. As you can see, the 21 Red Baron pizza car of Dan Fredrickson going by him. Just a freight train right out there right now.
A lot of black cars just behind Gary St. Amant there.
Just behind Gary St. Amant, Kevin Sawinski, Dan Fredrickson, and the Tecumseh car for Mike Garvey in that 17. He's up to fourth. Jim Trado.
Well, Gary St. Amant's father, Bud, has been around this sport since its inception here in ASA, and Gary wasn't brought down pit road, but I guess there's always a bit of luck you have to take with a grain of salt. You guys got away with one, so to speak, with that what tire leaving you.
Yeah, that sometimes you get a lucky break, sometimes a bear gets you, and sometimes a bear, you get the bear.
I've heard that phrase before. In fact, Jim Trado used it in his BFG POV a little earlier about that bear deal. I've never heard that before this weekend. Here's a replay of what happened. Gary St. Amant off of pit road. He had hit the tire, went out on pit road, but no penalty from the ASA officials. That's good because we like to see Gary St. Amant out front, don't we?
Well, I'm sure that Kevin Sawinski don't think much of it right now. He's trying to get back in the lead right now. These cars just welded together right on the bottom of the racetrack.
A pair of champions at the front of this field. Two-time champ Gary St. Amant and 97 champion in the Cabela's #1. Check out that mean guy. He's just staring at the camera. I'm a little bit intimidated by him. Gary St. Amant in the lead. Russ Tuttle in ninth after that bad accident on the backstretch.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, everybody got to meet my son Samuel on television, and this weekend you get to meet the addition to Bob Dillner's family, his son Blaze, the latest addition. And just like Bob, he loves the camera, but unlike Bob, the camera loves Blaze. So, Bob, we've got our family photos. We're even now, so we can pack them up and go home, buddy.
We don't have to fight anymore, huh, Brian?
That's right.
What a cute kid. Wow.
Thank you, Blaze. Is 7 months. Took him to Butch Miller's car earlier this morning, and Butch put him in the cockpit of that car, and he loves sitting in that cockpit, buddy. Maybe a future racer.
Yeah, and we've had a change for the lead already. Kevin Sawinski in that one car got by Gary St. Amant, but hey, that baby shot was worth it all.
Kevin Sawinski out front in the Coca-Cola #1, and you know, we got to mention Kevin Sawinski's line. We said he likes to run the low group, but man, this guy really does. He's what'd you call him this morning?
Well, you said he's the bottom feeder. But I will tell you this: on racetracks, you have to hug the bottom of the racetrack. Nobody's better than this guy, Kevin Sawinski.
He is, and he's giving that Cabela's #1 a run here today. Of course, the defending race winner really wants to win this one because he lives here in Minnesota. And let's take a look at how he got that lead, buddy.
See Gary St. Amant a little bit high coming off the corner, and Kevin Sawinski, tremendous forward grip down the back straightaway. It just glides by. Gary St. Amant says, you want it, take it. I'm saving tires. I'll be back later.
Yeah. like we said, a bottom feeder. Made the pass on the inside.
But he's got, right now, Dan Fredrickson right there in the 21 car going by Gary St. Amant. Gary's not able to stay on the bottom of the racetrack like these cars are doing right now.
These Lefevre Racing cars, Country Joe Holmes, Joe Miller also involved with that team. They are running really well. They want to win this one. Finished 1-2 a year ago, did these cars. And Mike Garvey also goes by Gary St. Amant. Garvey, a good run for him up to third, but maybe a little trouble for Gary.
You can see Gary St. Amant's car wiggling just a little bit as he started off the corner there, and he's going to have a host of other cars that are going to take advantage of an ill-handling race car. Joey Clanton seems to be a lot better. Robbie Powell in the 63 also running well.
Robbie Powell running really well in the 5th spot in that Sitco 63. Kevin Sawinski, he's the man, the leader. Sawinski trying to make it 2 in a row here because he loves this racetrack. Wants to win again.
Kevin Sawinski won the 1996 rookie title and followed a year later with the championship. He's now becoming just the 3rd driver he hopes to win back-to-back races here at the Minnesota State Fair. Now, Kevin, I understand it's the same car you won with a year ago, but what's his deal? You don't like it. What's wrong with it?
Well, this car actually, we seem to have a problem finishing races with it, but fortunately last year we won the race here. But, you know, this is new in 2001, actually, so we got a 94 chassis that we've been running all the time that's actually been doing real good for us.
So Kevin is steeped in tradition of what he raced with and is more comfortable with. This car just doesn't suit his style, but for some reason, he gets to ring the bell after winning with this car here at Minnesota.
Well, Sawinski definitely seems to have the handle on the car today. They made some changes the last time out. The car's working well. His wife cheering him on here. She's a little bit nervous still early on, and the weather keeps changing down here. That seems to be affecting everybody but Kevin Sawinski. And the good thing, this pit that we're standing in right now, it's the pit they were in last year when they won.
Oh, if you're superstitious, that means a lot.
Yeah, and Tracy, you can see his #1 fan, of course, and we just found out the other day she's pregnant.
That's right. Gonna have another baby. Of course, they had a baby over the winter, Kevin and Tracy, little Cara. She is at the racetrack today, so they're gonna have another one. They're gonna have their hands full with 2 kids less than 14 months apart.
A lot of little C's running around. You got it.
Sawinski wants to win today, too, because he's got a lot of diaper bills to pay for coming up, and he is certainly doing a good job. Mike Garvey trying to go to the inside of Dan Fredrickson, that for the 2nd spot with 122 laps down out of 300 here. Take a look at the live scoring, the upper left-hand part of your screen, as I'm wrong, goes away right now, but that's okay. It'll come back in a little while.
Mike Garvey very quick here, car right on the bottom. And if you've ever watched him at the old fairgrounds in Nashville, Tennessee, he's if there is such a thing, a professor at when to get back on the throttle, how to conserve tires. I wouldn't count him out at all later on in the day.
Garvey is the man, and he's got Joe Shear, Johnny Sauter's crew chief from 1 year ago, on his side. Brian Till.
Well, guys, this is Jim.
Jimbo, what's up?
I just spoke with Joe Shear Jr. on the pit box for Mike Garvey, and what he said was the car was a little tight. They only made an air pressure adjustment, and it's obvious by how they've advanced in the long green runs. They've set this car up and are successful right now in a long green run situation. So Garvey is really adapting to the racetrack. These other cars may be slowing, but his is actually picking up speed on the stopwatch.
Mike Garvey has 7 starts here at the Minnesota State Fair race. He has won once for the Lefevre Racing team. Now with the Bill Plemons' own team in that Tecumseh number 17, right behind Dan Fredrickson, trying to track him down, but has been unable to get by him yet.
Yeah, but he's a patient driver, and I will tell you that he knows how to use that throttle and not burn up his tires. He may be running a little bit slower now, but as this run goes on, he's going to get faster and faster.
Fredrickson running pretty patient out there in the Red Baron Pizza car, too. You can see the front end of that car glued to the bottom of the racetrack, but he's had some tough times this year. The early season go-getter in the Rookie of the Year chase. Watch this. Boom with Reed Sorensen at South Boston Speedway. That was the start of his rough times. A little run-in with David Hull in the Zero car, also at South Boston. And then he goes around after a love tap from Pat Kelly at I-70 Speedway. Danny Fredrickson also involved at Kakana with Gary St. Amant. Been a tough year. Take a look at that. Oh, Kevin Sawinski taps the teammates. Kevin Sawinski went on to win that one, but some anxious moments there with just laps to go.
Yeah, and right now Dan is actually closing in a little bit on Sawinski, but Sawinski was with lap cars there.
Garvey, he's had a pretty darn tough year as well. He had a podium just a couple short weeks ago and looking for some more good runs. Mike Garvey knows how to win here at this racetrack. Finished second 1 year ago. Wants to get back on track, but as we mentioned, a tough year for him as well. From the onset at Lakeland, a hard hit into the outside wall. And then at South Boston with Brandon Butler, the local shoe. And then check this out. Wayne Anderson gets into him at Five Flag Speedway in Pensacola, Florida. The fender, actually the rear quarter panel, of flapping on that number 17 car. At I-70 Speedway, a bump from Joey Clinton. And around he goes at I-70 Speedway. And then the big one at La Crosse. Wow, right by the camera. Mike Garvey dazed and confused, but he's back on track, on the prowl, and ready to win.
Yeah, and working the outside right now. He's tried Fredrickson on the bottom. He's looking to the outside. He makes that pass, I'm going to tell you, he's going to make a statement.
He definitely will. The outside is not the way to go around this racetrack, but if anybody can get it done, Mike Garvey, the tough guy, can.
Well, they're trying to, you see right there, he's getting a good grip up off the corner, but Fredrickson just slides right out there and takes that preferred line.
How tough is lap traffic here?
Pretty tough. Sawinski lost quite a bit of time to the second, third place car, just trying to get by two cars.
Sawinski is the man so far. Mike Reesop, part of the #1 team for Kevin Sawinski. Joey Clanton, the point leader, is 6th. We'll be back in a moment. Promotional consideration provided for and a fee paid by the following.
When I go to the track or a show, I have a lot to bring along. This all-aluminum Featherlite trailer is the perfect answer. It not only gives my car a sturdy ride, there's also tons of great storage. It's like having my garage on wheels. Hey guys, how am I supposed to get my car in here? Call now for the dealer nearest you.
Click, click, boom, we are back, and Kevin Sawinski in the lead, but look at who is in second. Mike Garvey, the man, in second now, finished second last year. But Kevin Sawinski is the BF Goodrich Tires halfway there award winner. Kevin has led 91 laps out here in the Coca-Cola Cabela's #1. Sawinski, congratulations to him, but I don't know, I'd be a little bit nervous right now, buddy.
I'd be worried too. Right at the moment, right, the fastest car out there is Garvey. He's closing in right on the back bumper there of Kevin Sawinski. Teammates last year, but not this year. So what was good last year may not be good when they get close.
Rivals this year. Look at what's been happening out here today. Gary St. Amant goes by Joey Clanton for the 3rd spot. It's been awful tough out here for Johnny Sauter. He gets lapped. Last year's ASA champion by Kevin Sawinski. Johnny Sauter now 2 laps down out on the racetrack. And then take a look at this. The tire by Gary St. Amant's car gets hit and goes out onto pit road, but Gary St. Amant makes it out in front of everybody, and he had the lead until this. Kevin Sawinski goes by in the Cabela's #1. Gary St. Amant settles back into second at that point. And then a close call for Kevin Sawinski in between Greg Stewart and Johnny Sauter. Whoa, 3 abreast going in the corner. Don't get any better than that. Let's take a look at where your favorite drivers are running. Take a look at those sound effects. I like them this week. Gary St. Amant back to the 4th spot, still going for the championship. Robbie Pyle, David Stremme, Butch Miller, Russ Tuttle at 11th. Donnie Reavers, the local boy, still up there. Chad Wood in 16th. Johnny Sauter, we mentioned him. He is in 19th. Troy Wanger in 24th. Doug Malik, 21st. You see where your favorite drivers are running, buddy?
Every one of them. These guys are, hey, look at this. Garvey on the outside goes by Sawinski.
The tough way around this racetrack. How about that?
That's hero material, but right now he's hung out there. Sawinski's looking back. You see lap traffic there that had something to do with that pass.
Lap traffic has been tough. Buddy mentioned it just a while ago. They're coming up on another car to put him a lap down, and that's the red 05 for Chris Wimmer. A red car because he's got a new body on that race car. Let's take a look at how he got the lead, buddy.
Well, you see right there, Sawinski on the bottom part of the racetrack, and lap traffic, you see in his groove right there. Garvey just went sailing on the outside and took the lead.
Wow, that was a gutsy move because you know you can really lose it up there, can't you?
Well, and he trusted Sawinski not to come up and take that spot away from him and run him into the loose stuff on the outside.
Garvey first, Sawinski second, Fredrickson third, all black cars.
Yeah, and these guys have to be really careful now because they're in fast traffic, lap traffic, but they have to be very careful not to throw this race away by making a quick move and maybe getting caught up in somebody else's mistake.
Garvey goes around the number 51, or trying, actually he does go around the 51 Country Joe Holmes car for Joey Miller, the 17-year-old. Now he's trying to put the Rocket Man Rick Beebe a lap down as well.
And the way that 17 is working right now, he's able to run higher. Sawinski's car does not work well up in the second groove.
Rick Beebe is the fourth place runner. There's a guy that has had a good run, buddy. Donnie Reavers, right here, lives just about 20 minutes from this racetrack, is a big shot up here in the late model ranks.
Yeah, he runs at Raceway Park. He's #1 in the points there. He won last night, as a matter of fact, and Elko Speedway he's second in the points.
Donnie Reavers running 9th in the backup car to Mike Garvey, who is, of course, in the lead. So those team cars running very, very well. Some guys moving up through the field. Paul Payne, he's moved up 18 spots from 30th to 12th. Johnny Soderwell, he's not really moving up, but Donnie Reavers is 23rd to 9th. How about that? A good run for the local kid. Just had a daughter, about 8-9 weeks ago, and ever since he had that daughter, he won 7 races in a row between Raceway Park and Elko Speedway. Paul Payne, one of the guys we mentioned moving up through the field, and he's had a tough time out here, but some pretty good runs as well, buddy.
Yeah, and the motor in that car, he bought it from Joey Clanton. He's doing a great job today.
He did indeed. Paul Payne, the last time we saw that guy, well, we didn't think we were going to see him again because he had a tough time at La Crosse Speedway into a big wreck. But the race before that, man, he was fast. But take a look at what happened. Paul Payne into it with Kevin Sawinski. That was a battle up front, folks. Kevin Sawinski then says, boom, get out of my way, Paul, because you do not rub me.
Professional spin right there. Let me tell you.
Also trouble at the end of that one for Paul Payne. He goes around again, a tough day and all, but he did run very well at Elko Speedway. And there he is battling with Mark Cole on the track right now. We mentioned he's really running pretty well. Paul Payne up to the 12th spot.
Yeah, in this particular car, he's trying to get by right there. Cole, as he was spinning in that last incident that we were looking at, got a face full of dirt, too.
There's your leader, the Tecumseh number 17 for Mike Garvey. He's won this one before, but he's got to put on lots of BF Goodrich rubber still to come. More pit stops here that we'll see all year long. And we'll be back. Look at those folks having a good time at the fair. Buddy, just all sorts of good fun here at the fair and a lot of games too. And you know, we're pretty competitive. Jim Trado, David Stremme there in the middle, and myself. Look what we did to David.
You know, I'm looking at this. Did you tell him let me win again?
No,
okay.
We just said, you know what, we're going to get David a little wet, and he was good humored about it. But David Stremme, he did lose that game. But Jim and I.
It's your story. Tell it like you want to.
Actually, a 6-year-old kid won that game. That just shows you how good we are. Rich Gardner helping bring out the fourth caution of the day. Also with Pat Kelly as well. Gardner stopped on the racetrack, but check this out, buddy. Johnny Sauter.
Yeah, he got into Kelly, and you see Kelly going around and around. Lucky nobody didn't pick him up there. Joey Clanton goes sliding by there in the 83.
Another view, Johnny Sauter getting into the back of Pat Kelly's machine before we go by the pine trees there. Some beautiful scenery here in the infield and all around the Minnesota State Fair. But Pat Kelly running 17th, missed last week, but good to see him back out there. Johnny Sauter, though, running 19th, and you know he's not very happy inside that car.
Yeah, but you know, I want to point this out to the racers around the country. Johnny Sauter was everything last year. He didn't run this year. The car is not up to speed, but he's staying out there. He came up here to race, and he's staying out there, even though the car is not up to pace.
These guys didn't stay out there. They came down pit road to change tires. You saw Mike Garvey's pit stop with the Tecumseh number 17, and now a little bottleneck at the end of pit road. But rubber, it's very, very important here. looks like Kevin Sawinski beat Mike Garvey off of pit road, and that's very significant with how the track position plays out here at the State Fair racetrack. Sawinski, dynamite pit stop for him, and the Cabela's #1. He is out front.
I'm going to try to talk to David Stremme. We had a little problem with transmission before, but I'm going to try again. David Stremme, can you hear me? David Stremme, this is Buddy Baker. Can you hear me?
Ouch.
Ow. We're still having just a little bit of trouble.
It doesn't look like we're going to be able to talk to Mr. Stremme today there, but David, darn good guy, having a great time in that car, still running pretty decent out here in the 5th spot. The Country Joe Holmes, number 51 for Joey Miller. He's one of those up-and-coming kids here in ASA. Hey, Joey. See, he was waving to me, buddy.
Yeah, he said he won a couple of times at Delco last year, but this year, not so good.
And this year, running a part-time schedule in ASA. Joey Miller, 6 months old. Boy, he looks like a cute kid, doesn't he?
He is cute.
He is a Milwaukee Brewers fan from up in this area. Joey loved to get behind the wheel of anything that he could. Hey, he was even a Cub Scout, and that'll make our cameraman Steve Upshaw very proud. He tried to get in the bulldozers, the trikes, and just everything. In fact, he was part of the Quarter Midget Racing Association as well. So he started behind the wheel of those cars very young. That's his dad standing next to him. Of course, Joe Miller. Check that shot out, buddy. Cowboy hat and all.
Well, he's not quite as cute anymore.
And then his mom told me he has this picture in his bedroom, a picture with his two heroes, Buddy Baker and who's that other guy?
Standing next to me, he is real cute. Yeah, I will tell you that he's a heck of a young man and all the talent in the world.
Joey Clanton's been having a tough time of it, buddy, and he's not getting any better. Jim Trado?
Well, I'm down on Joey Clanton's pit. He was one of the last cars to leave pit road on this exchange. Race leader Mike Garvey took on right side tires. Joey Clanton, however, the team had to make a major adjustment. They went under the hood for the sway bar to get the hood back down and away. They lost a hood pin in the exchange, but that tells you how radically loose Joey Clanton's car was. They actually made a physical sway bar adjustment by taking the time, lifting the hood, and losing track position to get that car to handle just a bit better.
And you saw Bon Suss talking to Mark Ashcraft and the boys from the Campfire USA team. The 17 of Mike Garvey. Let's take a look at what happened to him on pit road. He's right behind, actually, the 77 car right there.
Okay, this is Garvey right there. And when he starts out, the back of the 77 car, of course, just lost a little bit of time right there.
Yep, and that's his teammate, Donnie Reavers, in that number 77 car. So, bad break for Mike Garvey, but that car's been awful quick. I will be very surprised if he doesn't get back out front.
Well, he's got a great car, but everybody's made air pressure adjustments now and adjustments to the car. You might have a whole new group of people. You see Gary St. Amant also ahead of the 17 car there. Garvey, not a happy camper, I would say, at the moment.
Fresh rubber for everybody out here. Lap 183, there have been 6 lead changes in this race. Take a look at the upper left-hand part of your screen, see where everybody is running. But right now, the battle is up front. We got to keep an eye on that Tecumseh 17, Mike Garvey, because you know he wants the lead back.
For sure, but right now he has a great driver just in front of him, Gary St. Amant. Great pit stops today. Went in on the other pit stop, came out in front, back in the battle, though, back in the back. Clanton not having a great day.
And guess where he is running? 12th spot for Joey Clanton and that Campfire USA team, just behind Donnie Reavers in the 77, and also Russ Tuttle, who's having a pretty good run here today as well. But Clanton's got a ways to go to get back up front. 1 week ago, he had some problems, got hit, had to come down pit road, and he came from the back of the pack then too.
Yeah, but the big difference was he was the dominant car before that problem he had in the pits there when he got all the way in the back of the field. I'll tell you right now, that is not a dominant car today.
And top it off, Memphis Motorsports Park, a little bit smoother of a surface than the Minnesota State Fair racetrack. The guy that's making it very smooth looking out front is the Cabela's #1 for Kevin Sawinski, trying to go for 2 in a row here at the State Fair. If he wins, I'm sure he'll party with the team at the Minnesota State Fair on the final day. Gary St. Amant second, Mike Garvey third, and look at Danny Fredrickson pulling up in fourth. We'll be back in a moment. caution here at the State Fair. Crucial pit stops right here. Kevin Sawinski already on pit road. Gary St. Amant pulls his AC-Delco number 7 car down to Kevin Sawinski. Sawinski done with his pit stop.
A lot of guys opting for right side. You see right there, Clanton's car going for right sides. A lot of cars are putting on left sides. Everybody's having a choice right now.
Take a look at this, a big jam up at the end of pit road, but you know what? Gary St. Amant's team, Jay Platts, Dean Aikens and the boy are having a great pit stop day. They come out ahead of Kevin Sawinski.
Well, I tell you, somebody that had a great stop also is Clanton. He's up to 7th spot already.
Wow, and he was 12th before this last caution for a spin with John Silverthorne.
Gary St. Amant, this is Buddy Baker. Can you hear me? Boy, I've had better luck before. Gary St. Amant, this is Buddy Baker. Can you hear me? Well, we'll try something a little later on here.
We will. Gary St. Amant has been so nice, and he's talked to us many times this year via the radio with Buddy. You know, he doesn't want to talk to me. He wants to talk to the driver, Buddy Baker. You see Chris Wimmer down there on pit road. They are changing tires. That car red this week. Good look for Chris Wimmer, don't you think?
Better than the black one upside down last week.
Yes, it is. Chris Wimmer has had a tough time of it, but he's one of those up-and-coming stars here in ASA.
Last race in Memphis, Chris Wimmer was solidly in the top 10 when he got involved in this last lap incident with the result of the Little Wisconsin cheesecake upside down. Chris, that had to leave a little bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah, it wasn't a good deal. That car was too badly damaged to bring here, so I had a lot of guys come to the shop this week, and they helped me out and get this car together.
Now they've changed their attitude, they've changed the color, they want to get better luck, and they're hoping that maybe the strawberry cheesecake would be the flavor that wins at the fair here, and hopefully this is the only time you'll see that logo upside down.
Well, we know the real story of why that car is red this week, Buddy. You and I spoke to Joan, his mom. I said, why red? And she said, well, it was free paint.
Well, it looks better, I think, anyhow.
The Wisconsin cheesecake driver, Chris Wimmer, 16th. Greg Stewart having a tough day of it. One of those backstretch boys with the crash there. Has a bungee cord on the right front of that car to help that front fender stay on there. And Greg Stewart has had a pretty tough season out here in ASA. Let's take a look and document some of it. That is Chris Schultz in that number 33 car at 5 legs after Greg Stewart had some heat exhaustion and then hard into the wall at Hawkeye Downs. Just tough runs for Greg Stewart. Around he goes on the front stretch at Berlin Raceway, but saves it. John Silverthorne can't. Good move by Greg Stewart. Around again at Elko Speedway, June 16th. Tough run for Greg Stewart, but he is trying to battle back at Salem. He spun again in that body balance car. Off on the record, Greg Stewart. Plenty of bad luck for him, but he does have a couple of top 10 finishes. And then that, he was involved, a hard lick on that Howe chassis car. And here's what happened today. Jason Boyd spinning on the backstretch, and he was lifted up there.
He was absolutely on top of the car behind him. That's how hard they hit. Very lucky to be able to even get back out today.
And Greg was having a dynamite run at Memphis 1 week ago, solidly in the top 10, as was Chris Wimmer. So the both of those guys, tough week last week, tough week for Greg Stewart this week. Restart lap 195. We are under green, so guys, go, go, go.
And Gary St. Amant got a great jump there. As he goes by some lap cars, you can see Sawinski about 10, 15 car lengths back as they go down into turn 3.
St. Amant, we have to mention, hasn't won yet this year.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's working on him pretty much because he's a 2-time national champion and he wants to win.
Brian Till, that 7 car looks good.
Well, they made a great stop down here. I had said to Bill, you guys are doing good. And he said, yeah, the boys did good, didn't they? No changes. There wasn't enough time after that last stop to really tell whether the changes they'd made on the previous stop did any good. I also asked Bon Suss, he's right next door, did that sway bar change make a difference for Joey Clanton? He said the same thing. We weren't green long enough to find out. Maybe they'll find out now, guys.
Well, they are under green, so like you said, Brian, they should find out pretty soon. Gary St. Amant has opened up a little bit of an advantage on Kevin Sawinski.
Yeah, and he's out there by himself right now, not having to worry about, you know, somebody right on his back bumper. He's racing the racetrack right now. Greg Stewart will move right over and let Gary St. Amant go.
And that's because Greg Stewart is in the 31st spot, many laps down. We're going to take a look at the 7-11 battle. The 07, Kyle Busch. There's the 1 and the 11, Kevin Sawinski and David Strebe in the Meyer machine. What's up there, Jim?
Down here, Kevin Sawinski's pit, guys, and he had a very good 9.9 second stop for left side tires. That very quick caution followed by another caution was the saving grace for Kevin Sawinski. His crew booked on down to Gary St. Amant's pit. Gary, on the first of 2 quick stops, changed left side tires. They've investigated those because Kevin did not change left side tires until they had a next opportunity. So they changed right side tires the first time, and the 2 quick cautions they went right side tires to get the fuel in the car. They were saved by that caution because left side tires in Gary St. Amant's car were worn flat out. So it was a big bonus for Kevin to have that quick caution to come in and get fresh left side BF Goodrich tires.
Bottom line, tires very important.
Very important, but David Stremme in the 11 car is doing a great job also. He's moved into 3rd spot now.
Stremme in that Meyer machine. 2 tough breaks, a big bad break at Memphis 1 week ago, 30 plus on the finish there. Stremme still trying to battle for this championship and the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, and this year, 2nd place 5 times. Finally got in the winner's circle at Salem, and then he had some trouble later on.
Yeah, we were calling David Stremme the bridesmaid, but you know what? He'd make one ugly bridesmaid.
Most of us would.
Stremme trying to catch Sawinski on the racetrack. You know, Stremme's been running a pretty patient race. Jim Trado mentioned earlier on that he has Howie Leto on his side as crew chief, and Howie has been the wrench on many a good driver, including Jimmy Johnson and Tony Raines. So Stremme, he may be one to contend with before this race is out.
I think he's right there now. The car seems to be running just as well as Kevin Sawinski, and Sawinski's led quite a bit of this race today. But just behind him, Dan Fredrickson in the 21 car, also doing a great job today. Garvey, though, his pit stops have hurt him. He's back in 5th now. He was the leader not long ago.
Fredrickson running pretty well there in that number 21 car, sponsored by Red Baron Pizza and Schwann's Ice Cream, which is celebrating their 50th anniversary. And those Red Baron people are in the stands today.
And used to be my sponsor when I was running
right.
Western Cup.
That was a pretty cool looking car.
Oh, you bet.
Good memories on that one?
Oh, yeah.
David Stremme, good memories for him at Salem. That's where he picked up his first victory ever in ASA, looking for his 2nd win. Kevin Sawinski, a multi-time winner out here and also a former champ. Things have sort of smoothed out now, buddy. What's going on?
Well, right now I think they're racing the racetrack, and I think David Stremme, he always ends up near the front, and right now I think he's just being patient. But Dan Fredrickson, on the other hand, driving his heart out.
Driving his heart out indeed. Gary St. Amant going for his first victory of the year. Can he get it done? Less than 100 laps to go, and I guarantee you 1 more pit stop to go as well. There's the top 10. Good run for Russ Tuttle in 10th. Promotional consideration provided for and a fee paid by Holiday Inn Select, where hospitality is a tradition. For business or leisure, with luxury banquet rooms, an upscale fitness center, and a high-tech business area, the perfect combination. 1 minute to the Mall of America, 1 mile from the Minneapolis airport. Here at the Minnesota State Fair, the final day, and Gary St. Amant is trying to cap it off with a win.
The Flying Buckeye goes down into turn 3 on the outside, picks up the throttle, and watch a forward bite as he comes off turn 4.
You're pretty good.
Well, I'm just trying.
I'm gonna leave, okay?
You too, I'm breaking legs.
Buddy Baker, good to have him here with me today. As always, Jim Trado and Brian Till down on pit road. I'm Bob Dillner. David Stremme in that red and white Meyer machine. Also Edie's ice cream on that car. I could go for some Edie's ice cream right now, but David Stremme doesn't need any ice cream now because he's approaching the Cabela's number 1 of Kevin Sawinski, and that would be the battle for 2nd.
David Stremme amazes me every week at the patience he has as a rookie. Most people don't understand that he is a true rookie, and he is just absolutely adapts to racetracks just unbelievably.
They just went around the 31 of David Klein. Now clear sailing for the both of them. So this is where it could get down to the nitty-gritty. David trying to work his way up to the front. but he's got to get by Sawinski in order to battle Gary St. Amant in that AC-Delco car.
But they are closing in just a little bit every lap.
A little bit at a time. You know what? If the 7 and the 11 get together, well, this is what happened the last time to them at Salem Speedway. Stremme, contact between he and St. Amant. Stremme went to victory lane. Gary St. Amant, very sour after that one. Said, doesn't want to talk right then. Did a little while later, but Gary St. Amant still weighs heavily on his mind that race.
Yeah, and you don't see him mad very often, but when you do, you remember it.
You know, Gary St. Amant after that one said, David Stremme owes me $12,000. A couple weeks after that, Stremme let him get straightened up, said, oh, it's down to 9, and the yellow flag flies once again out here. Tom Powell looking pretty good in that flag stand, waving that yellow flag for the 6th time today.
Gary St. Amant didn't want to see this. He had built up a pretty good lead.
Hey, he was checking out pretty good. Gary St. Amant running very well in that Bill McGowan prepared car, but the caution does fly again. Will we see any pit stops?
Absolutely.
We know that these guys got to stop once more because this track is so abrasive. Ed Brown out of Florida, the roofer. He had trouble, and that's why the caution has flown once again out here. Ed Brown trying his hand at ASA competition, and here it is, Russ Tuttle.
Russ Tuttle, and you know, it hadn't been long ago. They had contact at a race, and I think Tuttle threw a water bottle at his friend, Ed Brown.
You're right. That was I-70 Speedway when Ed Brown and Russ Tuttle got into it. From our statistician here, Buddy Baker. That's a good memory. I didn't even remember that one. So Russ Tuttle was pretty aggravated after that one. Payback?
I don't know.
I don't know. We'll leave it at that. Ed Brown circling around the racetrack. Not too much damage to that car. Looks like he'll be able to get out there and get some more experience out here with the ASA Racing Series, which is the premier short track series in America. The Lite still on top of the pace car. Gary St. Amant, well, he's got a lap car in between he and Kevin Sawinski, the second place guy. And the lap car is Tim Olson, who owns I-94 Raceway, where I ran just a couple nights ago in a modified. Finished 10th, and I know you were disappointed.
Top 10, man. Don't ever knock it.
There is Ed Brown. And let's take a look at what happened in I-70. Oh, man. Russ Tuttle hard into the wall after contact with Ed Brown. And I think this is the part you like next.
Yeah, that's a big boy right there. And let me tell you, that's a water bottle going towards his friend, Ed Brown.
Yes, that's right. Russ Tuttle, the Marion County Sheriff from Indiana. And I would say maybe they're even right now.
Yeah, well, closer.
Yeah, closer. Yeah, Ed Brown doesn't have as much damage to his car as Russ Tuttle had on I-70, but his top finish so far this year was at La Crosse, a 14th place finish. Danny Fredrickson on pit road, as is Joey Clanton.
I think that's the right move right now. He's back in the pack there just a little bit, taking on fresh rubber. This could be something that would make him win the race. Joey Clanton also coming down pit road. You saw the yellow car just go by.
Fredrickson in the Red Baron's pizza car. There you see the 2 cars on pit lane. Also Kyle Busch in the 07 car. Fredrickson, no, Joey Clanton makes it out first. Fredrickson second and Kyle Busch third. Should be interesting to see with a little bit of fresher rubber. Butch Miller was also on pit road in the ASI number 04. There's Joe Shearer trying to see if Mike Garvey can get back up front in Minnesota. One of my favorite things about the Minnesota State Fair is 32 food items served on a stick, and I think Danny Fredrickson has had about 30 of them, and he's eaten all 32. Here is what happened during the past 50 laps here in ASA competition at the Minnesota State Fair. There is Mike Garvey and Kevin Sawinski battling, and then Greg Stewart does a little smoking on the rear end there on the racetrack. Greg having a pretty bad day out here. And then Matt Kelly spins courtesy of Johnny Sauter, last year's ASA champ, making his return, running 18th. Big John Silverthorne and Troy Wangren also get into it to bring out another caution, 1 of 8 on the racetrack. And then, well, Russ Tuttle and Ed Brown get together. That's not the first time it's happened this year. Take a look at this. The 77 goes around. Donnie Reavers with a great run, but he goes around. And then Joey Clanton and Mike Garvey, some close contact. Oh, he got into him, buddy. Oh boy, that's not going to make Mike Garvey very happy.
Not at all.
The lug nuts come off, and now here is where your favorite drivers are running. Dan Fredrickson has had some trouble. He's back to 7th. Russ Tuttle, 11th. Rick Beebe, 14th. David Klein, 20th. Joey Miller, the 17-year-old, running in the 17th spot. And the green flag comes out again, and that is good to see.
Gary St. Amant down into turn 1. Kevin Sawinski in the black car there, number 1 and 2nd. And right behind him, David Stremme doing a great job today.
Hey, buddy, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. 53 laps to go. Who do you like?
I like them all, but I will tell you that I think that Clanton right now with fresher tires has a good race car, but track position on this racetrack is so very important. You see he and Garvey going at it again, and right now I'm sure that Clanton says, we've got a bad past. I'm not going to push the issue. I am the points leader, and right at the moment I think Garvey's probably still a little steamed about getting hit just a few moments ago.
Brian Till, what you got for us down there?
Well, you guys said it, track position's everything. Bill McGowan said, hey, look, Gary called in and said, it's as good as it's going to get. If we put new tires on, all we're going to do is lose track position. It's too important to do that. Bon Suss said the exact same thing. The only guy that wants to see a green flag for a long period of time is Shearer with Garvey. The longer they run, the better they get.
But that car doesn't look, I'm talking about the Tecumseh number 17 for Mike Garvey, like Brian mentioned, it doesn't look as good as it was earlier on. There is Garvey, we just mentioned that, and what do you think, buddy?
Well, right at the moment, I think Clanton's struggling just a little bit, even with better tires. You see right there, the car just turned sideways. Dan Fredrickson all over the left rear quarter of that car. I think Clanton right at the moment has a handling problem.
Danny Fredericks, oh, Clanton is sideways again.
You can only do that so many times, and sooner or later that back end's going to meet you coming back.
Danny Fredrickson trying the low line to get around that Campfire USA 83. Mike Garvey in the Tecumseh machine currently 5th. Just about 2 seconds behind the leader. That car is loose too.
Yeah, and Garvey's holding him up also at the moment, and he's trying to find somewhere and track position to get by Garvey. Garvey not letting him have anything.
What's going on, Brian?
Well, Bond says that Clanton is just loose off the corner. The car's okay, and even with the fresher tires, he's just loose off. He can get him on the way in, just like you're seeing now. But coming off the corner, the car gets loose. It makes it a struggle and frustrating, you know.
But Brian, he's on the outside and gets by Mike Garvey, as does Fredrickson.
Something's bad wrong with the 17 of Garvey. He's nowhere close to being as strong as he was earlier. And right there, Dan Fredrickson gets cuts off by Clanton.
Wow, Fredrickson was on the outside. Joey said, you ain't getting by me now, pal.
Not that way anyhow. I wouldn't try him on the outside.
Fredrickson just behind. That's Bon Suss, crew chief for Joey Clanton. He used to be the crew chief at LaFavor Racing for Mike Garvey last year. But Clanton struggling with that car. Fredrickson in the Red Barons beats at number 21, going low and trying to get by.
And Mike Garvey not even in the shot anymore. He's dropping back. Something really wrong with the 17 car. He led the race today, looked very dominant, but no longer.
Tough break for Mike Garvey with 45 to go. Fredrickson's got a pretty good car.
He's fixing to make the move on Clanton. Pulls even down into turn 1, side by side. Dan Fredrickson has the better car. Right at the moment, Clanton's struggling.
Fredrickson up to 5th, but he's got a long way to go to catch the guys in front of him.
A long ways to go and a short time to get there.
You gonna sing for me?
I think well, no, I'm but I will tell you one thing. Dan's got a great car, but track positions, everything. He's pretty far back from the leaders.
Fredrickson has worked really hard on that car in the shop the past couple of weeks, really trying to rebound after a good start to the season. Had some troubles, as we showed you a little while ago, but Fredrickson trying to end the year on a good note because he wants to be back here in ASA next year, challenging for that championship with Joey Clanton's got the hold of that championship so far this year, but Gary, if he does win, could catch a lot.
Look.
You mentioned Mike Garvey, and look, he's way back there.
Yeah, he's way off and on the inside of the racetrack, just letting everybody go by.
Brian, what's going on with that car?
Well, I just came down to talk to Joe Shearer Jr. He's the guy that said the longer we run, the better we get. Now it seems they've got an electrical problem. He thinks it's the battery. The battery's going down, guys, and without the electronics, fuel injection doesn't work the way it's supposed to on these cars. They're very electronically controlled and managed. Without that battery, they're in bad shape.
O'Brien hit the nail on the head. That electronic system in that car certainly controls the fuel injection engine, and Mike Garvey is slow and out of contention. Gary St. Amant is your leader. Kevin Sawinski in second. You see the gap. Can he close it?
He's closed in just a little bit on Gary St. Amant in the past couple of laps, but, you know, catching him and passing him, that's another story. Right around the bottom of the racetrack, Gary St. Amant at the moment, the leader and the preferred line working very well for him.
Especially here where it is so tough to pass. We drove around this racetrack, and what makes it tough, you pointed out, was all that rubber built up outside the groove.
Yeah, and the racetrack itself was this blacktop that you see right here, or gray now, quite frankly, was in here at 1964, and they never repaved.
That's pretty old.
I'd say the rocks there are smooth as diamonds, I will tell you.
You can see all the cracks in the pavement, but that's what gives this track character. Mike Chaffee right there, crew chief for Kevin Sawinski, wondering if his guy can get the lead by Gary St. Amant. The Minnesota State Fair is all about fun and games. Robbie Pyle in the red shirt and I having a little fun, and I won. I beat him.
Now, I don't think so. I think your car was going over in his lane.
Hey, look, I got the trophy.
Oh.
Gary St. Amant trying to pick up the trophy here today, which would be his first at this racetrack, obviously in this race.
Yeah, and he's winless this year. I'm sure he would love to win. Car looks very good. Sawinski closes in when there's not lap traffic, but I will tell you right now, Gary St. Amant's a rocket ship when he gets around lap traffic.
You know what the trophy is here? A victory bell. And the winner, the winner gets to ring the victory bell here in Minnesota.
Hey, Bob, you said the trophy's under lock and key. Well, I found it. I'm an investigative reporter. It's my job to dig up stories. This is the victory bell. Notice the nameplates on here. Since the late Larry Deachins won the first ASA race here in September of 1978, each race winner's been able to put their name placard here. And more importantly, the steepest tradition in ASA, everybody wants to ring this bell. Kevin Sawinski did it last year. He'd like to repeat, as 3 drivers have been able to put their nameplate on this trophy. The winner gets a small replica of this bell. But that is the sweetest sound in ASA racing.
I think we're going to ring Jim Trado's bell a little later on. Investigative reporter, come on.
Yeah.
4 guys in today's race have won this race, and that being Kevin Sawinski. Let's see if I get this right. Kevin Sawinski, Dick Trickle, Butch Miller, and Mike Garvey.
Good man.
Thank you. Once in a while, come up with
You do read. I know that for a fact.
Gary St. Amant, still your leader. Kevin Sawinski, he is just trying so hard to catch him, and lap traffic could come into play here, buddy.
Well, it's already into play right now. You see, crew chiefs always have that same look.
They do. Bill McGowan, crew chief for Gary St. Amant, looking on and saying, come on, lap traffic, just help us out here.
Yeah, and Rick Beebe in the 5 car just in front of him. You see both of them using the same line going down, but now he moves over and lets Gary St. Amant go to the bottom.
Buddy, let's go down to our investigative reporter, Jim Trado.
On the scene in the 1 pit of Kevin Sawinski, his wife Tracy standing by anxiously, and the crew continues to wish Kevin well, but they don't think they have enough. I talked to crew chief Mike Chaffee with Sawinski's effort. He said, we did not come in when we thought we should have 2 cautions ago to get right side tires. It was a crapshoot. We decided to stay out. We just think Gary has a bit better car. Traffic would be the only way we could catch him.
Hey, a big thanks to Jim Trado on his investigation down there.
Yeah, but with 14 laps to go, 5 car lengths difference. Sawinski now closing in on Gary St. Amant, down to 4 car lengths as they go into turn 1.
And you know, he may not have the better car, but lap traffic, that's where he could catch him, and then all bets are off because lap traffic could play big time role in this race.
As long as Sawinski can stay right against the bottom, he's faster than Gary St. Amant, and now it's down to about 5-6 car lengths. As you see, he dropped back just a little bit, getting by a lap car.
The 7, the 1, and then the 11. There's 3rd place runner, the Meyer machine of David Stremme, Dan Fredrickson, just behind there. Excuse me. Stremme. Stremme is fourth. Danny Fredrickson right there in the middle of a sandwich is in the third spot. Oh, man.
Yeah, and right then, he could have dished the whole race, but did not. He backed off a little bit, let these guys sort out. Very, very heads-up move.
Fredrickson has moved steadily through this field, but he is running out of time to catch the top two guys. The Red Baron pizza machine. Dan Fredrickson will have a good top three finish here if he makes it to the checker, but don't think he's going to catch the top duo.
Yeah, but he's not giving up. That's the big thing. And David Stremme now is falling back in the 11 car. He's some 20 car lengths back of Fredrickson.
Hey, here's your top five, folks. Gary St. Amant, Kevin Sawinski, Dan Fredrickson, David Stremme, and a great run for the 07 of Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch doing a great job today. As a matter of fact, he's had a quiet run, but he's right up there.
Kyle Busch in the 07 car. That's the 11. David Stremme. Jim Trado, what's up?
Well, Kyle Busch's team is not settling for their best effort of fourth this season. They've come down the last two cautions to put tires on this car. They are still trying to get up to that podium finish. Elusive all season long for this rookie effort. His crew chief came with him from Las Vegas, Jimmy Parker. They want to get a podium finish here in Minnesota to make sure the last 5 races they're heard from. They've come in the last 2 stops, bolted on fresh rubber. We can see how that's paying off for them now in the top 5.
Well, rubber is the key here. If you have fresh rubber, you're going to go to the front, but track position also crucial. See Jason Miner and Mike Reestop of the Cabela's team for Kevin Sawinski just watching to see if Kevin can catch Gary St. Amant. Gary pretty eager to pick up his first win, and this would be a big one in this prestigious race.
And Sawinski's hating this. He sees lap cars up there in the group that he needs to run when he runs the fastest. Gary St. Amant seems to be able to run high or low.
Bill McGowan saying his prayers on top of the pit box for Gary St. Amant. He's opened up quite the lead on Kevin Sawinski with just a handful of laps to go. St. Amant trying to win his first of the year here in ASA competition, about to put a lap on Dick Trickle. Brian Till.
Well, I talked to Bill McGowan a minute ago. He said it's all up to Gary. It's in his hands. He just said, drive, buddy, drive. They were a little worried. It seemed like lap traffic was working in Sawinski's favor. He was able to close up. When they get out in the open, Gary seems to be able to pull away a little bit, hold his own.
Well, lap traffic right in front of Gary St. Amant. There is Tracy and Cara. Look at little Cara with that headset on. She's a cute little girl. They're hoping that Kevin Sawinski, Cara's dad, can catch Gary St. Amant in lap traffic, and he's got some heavy lap traffic. This could be the key here.
And Trickle's not moving out of the way, and Sawinski's loving it. They're racing very, very hard right at the moment. Finally, Dick Trickle moves to the outside. Gary St. Amant going just a few more laps, guys.
And Trickle is not the only one that Gary St. Amant has to contend with. He's got some more lap traffic in front. Troy Wangren in the 39. Gary splits them. Todd Cleaver in the 55 just in front. Sawinski doing all he can to catch Gary St. Amant.
Gary St. Amant, though, working very, very well in that higher line that I was talking about there as he goes or tries to go by Cleaver. Cleaver knows he's there, moves over to the inside. Gary St. Amant right now with just a couple of laps to go looks very good.
St. Amant, a master of lap traffic so far, but it ain't over till it's over. The 48 of Rich Gardner, they go by him. There's the AC-Delco crew talking, Roy Marvin, and the guys, Duffy, the tire specialist.
Yeah, but they realize one slip on this type of racetrack, and Kevin Sawinski will be there. White flag flies.
1 lap to go. This is when you hear everything there is to hear inside a race car. Gary St. Amant trying to win his first. Can he do it, buddy?
He's got a pretty good lead down into turn 3. He does not make mistakes very often. Very smooth coming up out of turn 4.
St. Amant wins a big one, the Minnesota State Fair. Listen to him, he's a happy camper.
Gary St. Amant's going to ring the bell. Hey, what do you think about that, buddy?
Brian Till.
How was that, you guys?
Bill McGowan, I mean, to win a race is great, but to win this one after everything you guys have been through, what's it mean?
Well, this is a lot for us. Gary's been trying to win this race here and ring the bell in Minnesota for a long time, and to do it after a year we went through, it really means a lot to us, I'll tell you.
Well, congratulations.
Gary St. Amant has tried to win this race 16 times before. The 17th time was the lucky one for him. The packed house here at the Minnesota State Fair waiting for Gary St. Amant to climb out in victory lane. Coverage of the 2002 ASA Racing Series Championship is being brought to you by BF Goodrich Tires. Take control.
Out of the car, finally in victory lane after 17 years of trying. He's finished second twice, but this is the first time Gary St. Amant will ring the bell here at Minnesota. You bet there's going to be a celebration. Gary St. Amant, 17 years of trying. You've won the Anderson 400. You won at the mile at Dover. You finally captured the Minnesota 300.
Oh, I'll tell you what, it's great. I tell you, I come off before they're coming down to get the checker, and I started bawling like a baby. This means so much to me and my dad and the API team. Bill McGowan made a great call today. I mean, just an awesome call in the pits to make this thing get around this racetrack. Got to thank AC-Delco, Lane Automotive, all the Wins distributors across the country. They've helped out this year. I haven't said anything. Thank you. Port City Race Cars, Tilton, Performance Friction, Brake Pads. Great job on the brakes today, PFC.
Gary St. Amant also takes a bite out of the point lead. Bob?
Gary St. Amant, 67 points back coming into this one. It'll be awful close. St. Amant wins, and look at where Joey Clanton finished in 7th.
7th spot. You know, he was loose all day. Had a terrible time getting a part of this racetrack to hook up.
Donnie Reavers, the local boy, had a great run, a top 10 finish. Mike Garvey dropped out of the top 10. Tough break for him, but he still finishes 11th. Brian Till?
Well, Kevin Sawinski, I looked at you when you pulled up. I said nobody could have tried any harder. It looked like you had the car early on. What happened?
We really did. We tightened it up there because we had such a long run, and we put rights on, and we went a little bit farther, and we tightened it up a little bit more, and then we finally got a chance to come in and take lefts, and I thought it was going to be a little bit too tight, and we just didn't adjust for it, and kind of bit us there at the end. Hats off go to Gary. He had a great car at the end and when he needed it.
Well, second place, it's not a win, but holding what he's holding, I don't think it gets any better than that. Jim Trado?
Brian, I'm standing by with his teammate on the favorite Country Joe Racing team. Dan Fredrickson, a great effort put together in your home state. It had to be an important run for you to run this well.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have a good car in practice. The whole crew put their heart into it. We worked and worked. Took a gamble on a pit stop, caution away, But third is definitely good. Got to say thanks to my local sponsors here, Red Baron Pizza. And also congratulate Schwann's on their 50-year anniversary.
Danny, talk about rookie points. You're gaining a lot on Stremme. I know you just finished a bit ahead of him, but it had to be a big surge with his problems at Memphis.
Yeah, I mean, we're just chugging and chugging, I mean, the rabbit and the turtle or whatever. But I think that we're coming together, This was a new team at the beginning of the year. We went through a lot of stuff, and I think we're rocking now.
Bob?
I think Danny was talking about the tortoise and the hare.
You got it.
Hey, we got a lot of good racing coming up, Buddy Baker. This season is not over. 4 to go.
Hawkeye Downs next. Boy, it don't get any better than that.
Cedar Rapids, Iowa. We've been there once before this year. We will be coming back next week. For Buddy Baker, Jim Trado, and Brian Till, this is Bob Dillner thanking you for joining us for the Miller Lite 300 and reminding you that we'll be returning, as we said, to Cedar Rapids, Iowa next week. We're only 4 races away from calling it a season, and there are a host of questions still to be answered, especially with this point race closing up. Join us in search for those right here on TNN next Sunday, September 8th at 2 p.m. Eastern. Congratulations to Gary St. Amant and the boys.